Folks, we are live. Welcome to Talking Crit. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. Stage right, so that means I'm pointing left for me, is none other than Bad Mike Battleato, my once a week work spouse. And below us is none other than the man who set the record at North Texas RPG Con for 3 Castle Awards. I think you need a whole new wall for them. I think you're the one that made them go. We got to do something different because if Ben wins again, he's gonna get the same old shit. Ben Burns, new comic games. Ben, welcome.
Thank you.
Ben got screwed though because Ben hasn't got his last 2 awards, correct?
That's right. I've only gotten one so far. So
the second one. So this is part of Doug getting really sick and being forgetful and not really being on top of things.
And my total forgiveness of you guys.
Yeah, this is one reason why I wanted to handle this for years, and now I'm finally handling it because apparently Doug made no provisions to send Ben his second award, the one he got for the top secret stuff. And so at the convention this year, Gary and I decided to surprise him and say, because we're going to have a brand new award made up by Diesel. Diesel just does incredible sculpts. His sculpts are insane.
Fantastic.
So we thought instead of Ben winning a third of our old statue, let's let him have 2 of the old statue, 1 of the new statue. And then when we announced it, Ben's like, well, never even got the second one. I'm like, what? Oh, shoot. I didn't know that. So Ben doesn't. So we'll have to give Ben 2 of the new statues because we don't have any more. We have 1 more of the old one. We decided to save that for the Doug Memorial so we can put that up there. So now Ben's going to get 2 of the new statue. And he only has 1 of the old ones. So
that's
I don't know
okay.
how much it's going to cost us. It costs a lot of money.
Okay.
But he deserves it. And so I'm going to tell a story about Ben. So when we first, Ben has been to every con since the second con, correct? Ben, I don't think.
Yeah, I started at the second one.
You didn't miss COVID year, did you? I don't think you did.
No, I was there for that.
You were.
Yep. I haven't missed any of them.
So he submitted stuff in his first few years that was really the quality wasn't quite like we were expecting, and so the steering committee go, no, we're not really going to take this. This doesn't really look good. And Ben looked at it and he realized, like, yeah, I got to up my game. Then all of a sudden, I think Star on the Shore was the first one he came out with. Is like, whoa, this is really nice. Like a hardcover, beautiful art, like just everything. I was like, holy crap! It didn't look like the same person. I mean, I was like, this is amazing. And so you absolutely upped your game in terms of production, and it's done you well because you've won 3 Castles Awards in a row for excellence of design for your Call of Cthulhu and Top Secret projects.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I went professional is what it was. Before it was just kind of a hobby. Now it's a professional hobby. So if I'm going to actually charge money for this stuff, I might as well make it look good. So,
but you're very good at it. The quality is very high for indie products. We hear that from more than one person. For an indie product, that's pretty high quality stuff.
Well, thanks. Wait till you see this year's entries.
Which is why we have you, because you've got Kickstarter, right? You've got a new Kickstarter out. So
it won't be in this year's. It won't be out in time for this year's.
Okay. Well, that's too bad.
I mean, for next year, I'm still planning on submitting Corsairs. You've seen it, right?
Oh God!
Yeah.
So
I have. I've read about half of it. Yeah, it's really good.
And I was thinking about also submitting the cards I did, the Visions of Cthulhu. I don't know if you've seen those or not. So those are, I think, an excellent product as well. The artwork is outstanding, and the micro stories that go with them, I think are really top notch. So anyway, I'm excited about both of them. But I'm also excited about what I got coming up. So,
well, tell us about your new Kickstarter and what's going on, and kind of the history behind why this Kickstarter is going on, and where this came from.
It's Zeta Complex, which is in the same genre as Paranoia. And for those who aren't familiar with Paranoia, Paranoia is a comedy role-playing game that came out in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, everybody did when it came out. There's problems with that game. There were some drawbacks, but overall, the game is just fun to play. And about the third or fourth year that I was going to North Texas, all anybody did was D&D. And we had talked about, threw around ideas of trying different game systems, trying to evolve and get, more variety into the game schedule. And I had run Paranoia years ago, so I offered to run it again. And it was a huge hit. And so Doug backed one of my Kickstarters and chose I Own Your Soul level. And so, yeah.
Nice.
And he told me I had to run Paranoia every year. And so I did. And I've written several of my own Paranoia adventures, and I had one floating around on Drive-Thru RPG. So I don't know how well. Anyway, the story goes that I got a cease and desist from Mongoose Games saying I could not sell that on Drive-Thru RPG. It was like 99 cents or something, just ridiculous low amount. And I'm like, well, I'm not violating your copyrights. I'm almost certain I didn't touch any of your actual copyright stuff. And they're like, the people at Drive-Thru were like, well, they're big, you're little, we don't care. So they put me in contact with Mongoose Games, and I talked to them, and I said, here, let me send you the adventure. And it's really good. At first I said, what if I just listed as pay what you want? And they're like, nope, you can give it away for free, but you can't sell it for anything. So I said, well, what if you license me? I licensed through Chaosium. At this point, I'd already done a couple of books, Star on the Shore, and I think Devil Swamp, which won the 3 Castles. I said, I do really high quality work when I do it professionally. Let me send you the module. The artwork's crap. It hadn't been fully edited, but I'll up that game, and I have half a dozen modules. I can put them out every 2 or 3 months and get some real product going for your line, because their line at the time was kind of stale. And so they wrote back and said, well, the module's outstanding. It's really cool, but we're not interested in doing any kind of licensing right now. So you're not interested in just a free check every quarter, So I decided to move on and create my own game. And so I came up with Zeta Complex, and I worked on my own rule system for a couple of years and ran it, and people were enjoying it, but I could always find holes in the system, something to improve, something to make it better. And then one time somebody played and said, you really need to look at Savage World, because your system is very much like theirs. So I went and got the Savage World rules and read them, and was shocked at how close we were actually from each other. And so I've applied to become an ace writer for them. They love my stuff and approved me. And so Zeta Complex is now a thing. So it's using the Savage World rule system. It's a new setting for them. And I think it's a blast. Everybody who plays it loves it. So that's the story of how it came to be.
Well, it's interesting. So it's weird, because I don't know a lot of the people that license stuff, but it seems to be very successful, the program that Chaosium does, because you've done pretty much all your Call of Cthulhu projects through their licensing program, and it doesn't seem like they're really interfered with you or mess with you too much, because they seem to be pretty successful. And I don't know why they wouldn't like you doing that, because you're spreading the word of Call of Cthulhu far and wide with your stuff. The quality is so good on them,
Well, I don't know. At the time, I think this was just before they came out with their own. They came out with something new recently, a new system. I haven't played their newer rules from Mongoose Games, so I'm not 100% sure where they are. I have intentionally stayed away from their stuff, because I want to make sure we're not duplicating it or violating any copyrights and stuff. And so but I guess at the time they were not looking for it. Right before I launched, I did see something where they were reaching out looking for people to contract with them. So, I was like a little late, but and I might even do better if I went that way. But at this point, I am fully devoted to the Savage World and Zeta Complex. I think it's going to be great. So,
yeah, it makes no sense why they wouldn't license. Like I said, Chaosium's, and this goes back to when Chaosium was doing the monos, which were great. The monos were awesome. Basically,
I love the monographs.
Could do a just a really simply printed product, and yes, Chaosium owned it, but you got to see your stuff in print. I think you're paid like $500. I know somebody that did a few monos, and they published it. It wasn't a huge print run, but that stuff got out there, and it was just a cool program. I really love their mono program.
Mongoose, maybe I got a feeling with Mongoose, they're a little bit gun shy after having released when they had RuneQuest. They released RuneQuest under the OGL, and then they released Traveler under the OGL, and then I think they regretted both moves. So I think that I think these were all licensed IPs. I don't know if they actually own Paranoia now or if they're licensing it.
I think they own it.
Okay, because I know RuneQuest was a license, and then they OGL'd it. Traveler is a license, So I'm just wondering if they're a little gun shy after going with the OGL on both of those. I don't know.
But, see, this is weird because it's the same reason that record company. There was a big thing about record companies in the early aughts, as they were going after grandmas and teenagers that were pirating their music, and they were suing them for ridiculous, I don't know, $200 or something. It was really stupid. They were trying to shake their finger at people pirating music, and then somebody finally approached them, and they made them realize that pirated music actually helps us because somebody pirates music. They did studies. They found out they'll buy the music they like. They'll pirate it to test it and say, "Oh, this is a cool album. Yeah, I'm going to go buy that," and then they'll go buy it. And so, so that's why they stopped suing people eventually. That plus they had a lot of bad publicity because they're suing grandmas and teenagers and stuff. But they finally stopped it. It was idiotic. It was ridiculous, and the OGL has been the greatest thing that ever happened to D&D by far. Spread that game way farther and wider than it ever would have spread. They don't have to worry about hiring legal departments to deal with people with pirated D&D products. It has helped them so much, and I don't understand why people don't look at that. And not only that, WotC tried to pull a fast one with 4E. Do you remember that? They weren't going to have the OGL with that. They said, we've been losing so much money with the OGL.
License. You had to be a company that they would approve, and then you had to pay your licensing fee, and it was only certain companies. It was,
I know Goodman Games did that, and how'd that work out for them, Eric?
Yeah, you can probably get those 4E GCC adventures on like the bargain rack. I don't even know. When
it's terrible.
Pathfinder 1/8 for the pound, I'm sure that 4E Goodman Games adventures would have been like a gift of purchase if we had any around.
It was terrible. So it worked out terribly when they tried to take it back, because at this point, people are just used to the fact that, hey, this is so cool, we can write for WotC. And so I just don't understand why they look at that as a money. Oh, it's a money loss. And Ben knows this, and everybody here knows this. The minute your product comes out of PDF, in 1 hour, it's up on a pirate site. There's nothing you're going to do about it. Every North Texas product is on pirate sites. I've seen them all. I know it. And that's
I believe it.
We didn't even release it PDF. Somebody had to PDF it for us to put it on the pirate site. So
see, the scan in the pages, you can tell because the pages are curved on one side.
So you're not going to stop it. You might as well just lean into it. Say, okay, let's go ahead and issue these licenses, and we'll get a lot of other really good creative minds like Ben's, and they'll write stuff for us. We'll pay them some money, and it's awesome. It works out for everybody. I don't get that. I don't get why companies are gun shy about that.
Okay. John's asked a couple of questions.
You
Can I
guys, two
jump in and
questions here,
answer
by the
them?
way.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I just want to put him up on the screen. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So,
shipping one first.
How are you able to keep shipping costs so low to the EU? Are you
yes, I do work with a distributor, GMS, in the UK, and they ship to the EU. So that's how we do that. And I don't have to go through all the hoops of the EU VAT stuff. They've done all that, and so I actually don't even ship there. What I do is I ship to like Michigan, and they do these pallet shipments because he works with several small vendors on this side of the pond, and so we kind of, like every 2 or 3 months, he does a pallet shipment over to the UK, and then from there they ship. So that's how I'm able to keep that pretty low. And he also asked about, he's never played Savage World. How does it gameplay compare to D&D and OSR? Of course, it's still role-playing, right? So role-playing is role-playing. The biggest difference is what dice you're rolling and what how the game mechanics work and things like that, which in my opinion is always secondary to the game master and the system you're playing in, the genre. But the biggest difference is combat goes much faster, in my opinion, with Savage Worlds. For one thing, like all gunchy guys, the little peons, all have 1 hit point, no matter what.
So when you hit him, you kill. Yeah, when you hit him, you kill.
Yeah, you hit, you kill. I hate keeping track of. Well, you did 7 hit points to him, but he has 8, so he's still up and running around. So it tends to make combats go much faster. You also get something called bennies, and that's one of the options you can buy on the campaign level. Is you get these things called bennies, and unfortunately, they're not named after me. I wish they were. But they stand for benefits, and you get like 3 for your character, and you can spend them to reroll dice and things like that. So when you get into the big boss fight, sometimes you can sit there and go through a stack of them, of benefits. And for Zeta Complex, it does have clones like Paranoia did, except the biggest difference is you never know when your clones are going to run out. Paranoia, you always had 6 clones.
Yeah.
And so I even had players go, oh, well, I know I have another clone, so I'm just going to sacrifice myself, And
John Lyle.
Yeah. And John Lyle is a big one for that. But so this one, and now in the system, the way it works is you make a roll. And if you fail the roll, you just die. And your clone does not come back. It's easy to make the roll, but the critical failure is still the critical failure. And so you never know when that's going to happen. So you can end up with 3 clones. You can end up with 20 clones, and you just don't know. And I think that's so after that, you get the first one for free. So, but you get bennies for every clone that comes out. So you can sit there and spend your bennies as they come in. In Savage Worlds, you also have a card system, cards for initiative. So you just deal cards out and you start at ace and go down. So it's real quick. Other than that, you're mainly your stats are D levels. So your strength might be D8 or whatever. And so whenever you have to make a strength test, you roll the D8, and because you're a wild card, everybody always rolls a D6. You roll the 2 die, and your target number you're shooting for is 4 or better, is the base target number. And it's a real simple, real quick, easy system. And it goes fast. It really does. So does that help answer the questions? I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, John, I played Savage Worlds once or twice. It's a good system. And it's one of those rare systems where I actually, on first reading, I understood like 90% of the rules. The only thing I didn't understand was the powers. So if you're trying to run something that was magical or supernatural, I couldn't figure that. That was a brain block on my side. But everything else worked as a grognard. Everything else fell right into place. You understood how everything ran. You're like, oh, all right, this makes perfect sense. It's a well-balanced system, and
yeah, very well.
A lot of the earlier stuff, like if you ever read or played the old Deadlands Deadlands basically became Savage Worlds. Effectively, that's the system.
That's their primary setting
Setting.
is Dead
Right.
Worlds. That's their big one.
Right.
That and Rifts. So
right, and they licensed Rifts from Palladium. They have a bunch of plot point campaigns from the original edition of Savage Worlds, which work pretty well. And if you like stuff that's kind of like Conan but not quite, Solomon Kane is a complete Savage World game campaign. If you want to be if you want to play a character that was written by Howard but not Conan, you want somebody that's a bit more probably mysterious. I always liked Solomon Kane, so
Gary came in. Gary's in here, and Gary.
Yeah, hey Gary.
You missed a story where I told Ben how we screwed him over by not getting so. But,
he blamed you completely, Gary.
Yeah, I did. I threw it all on Gary, as I will do on these shows if Gary's not listening.
I had nothing to do with any of it.
Well, the funny thing is the way Gary and I do things. It really isn't anybody's fault because we, the way we do things. So, or it's either all of our faults or none of our faults. It's like it doesn't really fall in the between, unless it's something that you were specifically given to do and you didn't do it. So, of course, Gary knows. Gary knows how. He knows how it works.
Michael.
No, it's more just getting your name called than it is getting the little chunk of ceramic that you put up on the shelf.
So speaking of that, Ben. So I mean, and so three casts award. That's for those who don't know who might listen. It's a award we've been giving out for a little over 10 years now at North Texas. It's kind of an indie OSR type award for best design of a product, and it's been won by Ben. Then Michael Curtis won one. Jeff Dees won it. Richard LeBlanc, Greg Gillespie. So I mean, it has some pretty big names there. Michael Stewart, Zach Smith won 1 year for Bread and Pleasant Land, which is a great product. So you're building up. So I think it's funny as I look on the North Texas Facebook, you're building up a bit of. Oh, did I pop out for a second? Can you guys hear me?
No, you're there.
Well, you kind of started for half.
You're starting to build up a bit of a rivalry. Like people were looking at you as like, I gotta take that Ben Burns down.
That's Louis.
So now you're the bad guy now. How does that feel? You're the bad guy.
I'm not used to being the bad guy. I'm used to being the underdog, trying to scratch my way in. So I don't know quite how to take that.
Yeah, you're no longer the scrappy underdog. So
I know. I'm the big dog to be taken out now. So
yeah, everybody's like going after you. They're saying like, "Yeah, I'm taking Burns out." Lou is going after you. I know Greg Gillespie's after you now. Everybody's like, they're just we're taking him down now. Like, wow.
Well, they need to up their game.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Yeah, there we go.
No, they all had great stuff last year. I know it was tight. So, but because I looked at some of that stuff, I didn't think I was going to win. I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so good. And I really didn't think the judges would just, in a way, I'm honored that they picked me. And another way, I was like, man, if I was the judge, I'd have a hard time going, yeah, let's give it to Ben a third time. So, on a row.
Well, that's why we switch up judges every year.
Yeah, I know. So that I don't know.
But going, oh man, the same 5 guys have given Ben an award 3 years in a row. It's been different judges.
I know you're costing me a fortune here, guys.
But tell us. I wanted to also hear about. I mean, we've had Ben on the show before. So tell us about what was the process from going to the early stuff that you would turn into North Texas, and the steering committee would be like, yeah, it's just not the quality. What made that where you just said, you know what? Okay, this is going to be different. We're going to do different the next product.
Well, really, I think what kicked me over in the gear was I decided to do things professionally. Before it was just kind of a hobby. I threw it together, publisher, here we come, which is a horrible product, by the way. I had done the dinosaur fighting game, which, It's second edition out. Yay, I love it.
It's awesome. Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting. It is a great game, guys. It really, if you want to play a dinosaur with frickin' lasers on its head, you can play that. It's great. It is a great game. Yes, definitely.
Great dinosaur pit fighting.
Kids love the game. Kids love
it. So we, I wanted to start producing some of my material I had written for Call of Cthulhu, and I found a Call of Cthulhu web, form book, and I was printing up, and I had done the OGL with some D&D stuff, and I thought, well, I bet Chaosium's got something similar, so I'll just use that. And I was looking around for it, but I posted up on the thing that I was going to do this book on the Facebook page, and Chaosium, Mike Mason, in fact, emailed me and said, well, you can't do that without a license. And I said, oh, well, can you give me a license? He said, yeah, sure. So it was, and he said, but you got to make it look really, really good. It's got to be professionally done.
So we have a certain quality. Yeah, certain quality.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, I better up my game. And then I found an artist, thing. So I talked to the wife, and I had made a little money on the dino fighting. And I told her that I was going to have to sink a little money into this book before it actually got funded, And so I went out and found an artist that just did unbelievable work. He's the one who did all the art for both Star on the Shore and Devil's Swamp. Malishnikov was his name. He was out of
great stuff. Good artist.
I want to say he was out of Ukraine, is where he was from. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years now. He started getting, after he did my books, Chaosium hired him for a while, and then so the big guys got his. I was definitely, when they
Frog
said
Guns had the same issues. Our guys that do our covers, like
the exposure is a thing, but I do believe in paying.
People can pay much more money than we can for covers.
Right. I do believe in paying artists. So I said, I'm going to probably want to do about 20 pieces of art here. And we negotiated a deal, and I threw it up on Kickstarter, and people fell in love with the art. And then some of what I did about the, talking about the book and, art sales, good writing and good adventures keeps them coming back, but good art sells you initially. And I was lucky enough to do that.
I wish I had one of your older things so I could compare the art for the last Corsairs, and but I wouldn't do that to you, Ben. I wouldn't do that. But yes, the jump in the art was one of the first things that really said, "Wow, this guy's serious about his stuff." Because Star of the Shore is an awesome cover, man. That thing is.
Wow. It's one of the best covers I think I've ever seen. It really is, with the double lighthouses. And
I don't have a copy. No, I don't. I have a copy in the warehouse.
I have one upstairs, but the double lighthouse. And what was funny? So funny story about that one. When I first posted the cover on North Texas, and it's actually based on a real postcard that you can find out on the website, and it has the double lighthouses, and the idea behind it is they're on one island and they point north and south, right? So you know which way is north and south by the lighthouses. And somebody on North Texas, I don't even remember who it was now, came on and said, I love the cover, except the double lighthouses is so unrealistic.
Well, let me tell you.
So, I'm like, oh, well, it was based on this postcard. Never mind, but it was a funny little story there.
In your face, it's real.
Now, not the huge Cthulhu monster coming out of the waves between.
That's realistic for the Northwest, but two lighthouses.
Way out.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? Yes.
Oh, I love that the one tentacle the lighthouse is like beaming on one tentacle, and it's bigger than the lighthouse.
It's a great cover, and then the art. And you're right. Usually the artwork is what signals kind of people like, hey, I'm down here, but I want to be up here. When you improve your artwork and spend a little money, and Eric and I have seen companies over the years that are not willing to spend money on art, Eldritch Enterprises, and so because of this, products they're out of business. I'm not hurting their feelings at this point. It was true that they were very cheap on their artwork, and it just it never looked good. And that this is what happens when you have cheap artwork, is that people don't take you seriously, because you're right. Art sells art gets people to pick up your product or look at it.
At least pay for a good cover. If you can't afford anything else,
pay for the cover, right? So,
and there's been a lot of stuff like that in the OSR. I can tell you some really good. I thought Skeeter's module had a really good cover. The Science Crypt. I love that cover. I did. Really evocative. I love all of Greg Gillespie's covers. I know he spends a lot of time and effort working with the artist to get a really good cover, because he wants something that looks like old school D&D, and so I know that. So yeah, covers are important, and I've seen some of Luau Lu's stuff. I mean, it's just that's where you got to put your money if you want somebody to look at your product. I know it sounds totally ridiculous, like, well, a cover shouldn't be that effective, but it really is.
Yeah.
You're saying that you can't judge a book by its cover? You certainly do.
It could be a terrible book, but at least if you took the time to spend the money on the cover, it's probably not. You probably actually did some work there, right? I mean, at least you think that.
Yep. Oh, let's see here. So John had another question. So thank you, first of all. And I did actually, for a little while, I was going to go like full profession. I was going to try to make New Comet Games my full-time job to pay my mortgage. And we were going to be putting out products left and right. And I actually hired a graphic designer to do my layout and stuff. And she did a couple of books for me. And I can't even remember which ones off the top of my head. And then when Kickstarter kind of put a kick in the nuts there on me to stop it, then I had to let her go. And so now I do all my own layouts and stuff. So I do hire artists. So
you had a kick in the nuts from Kickstarter. What was this?
Oh, well, that was, so we were putting out stuff like every other month. So every other month I was releasing something and starting a new Kickstarter every other month. So I had this like assembly line process going basically, where I would come up with a new idea for a product. We would launch it on Kickstarter. That's being, worked on. The previous one is in, being printed or whatever. And the one before that's being shipped out. And so we had 4 or 5 Kickstarters all still open at the same time. And
they said you had to completely ship one before you started another one.
No, I had to ship all of them before they would let me launch again. And, it was like, whoa, put the screech on the brakes here. Because I had done a lot of advertising already for the next one, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was at the time. Mm-hmm. I was ready to launch, and they said no. And I'm like, what the heck are y'all talking about? And they're like, this was all about the same time. Eric, you were doing your favorite spots on Ken.
Back then.
And I think that stuff had a major impact on Kickstarter's decision to do this.
By the way, Ken, if you're watching, because we know you watch on Wednesday nights, you don't need to send me your phone number again if I get around to it, maybe at some point. But show us what you do first.
You have to. If you did some stuff, we might be interested. You have to do some things.
Yeah.
We're not going to have you here on the show as a hey, here's Ken Whitman. He's going to talk about why he didn't fuck everybody over. We want to see some stuff done with your YouTube page and this and that before we have it on the show. So
because
we're not saying we wouldn't have you on. We would not say we wouldn't, despite all the things you said about Eric back in the day. We would have you on, but we're not going to have you on as an advertisement. Just
for yourself, yeah.
Yeah, because Ben, like earlier this summer, we had mentioned Ken and I guess he was watching because by the end, my email I have, you can text or call. And I went, what the?
He jumped in the chat. Eric, he was in the chat.
Oh, he came in the chat. You're right. Yeah.
He came in the chat.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what the? I mean,
Yeah.
He said he's a changed man, and it was all because of mental illness, and he's better now, and he wants to make it up to the community, and show.
Well, he could deliver those Kickstarters.
Well,
there you go.
He's not that changed.
That's going to be a tough one, I'm afraid.
So, but to finish the story, so I really wanted to. I didn't want to lose the money I'd spent already to get ready for this Kickstarter, and so as it turned out, I had backed one of Simon's stuff. Okay. And Simon had just launched another big product, and they were a year late on their previous one that I had backed. And I'm like, I'm still waiting on Simon's big game here. And I saw you just approved one of theirs, and they just launched. I got approval the next day to launch.
It's one of those. Yeah. That's how they work.
Yeah.
That's how
that's how life, my Kickstarters might pull 30 or 40,000, but Simon's pulled 3 million, and so that pays their bills.
Down here, little Ben Burns. We'll get down to little Ben Burns in time. We got Simon over here. We're gonna do their stuff. No, I understand that. That's they sometimes don't obey their own rules, but I was gonna say that's the reason that Frog God uses Indiegogo. Because that's exactly what we do. That when you say that similar line
where
approach,
you swap every other,
Yeah, we try to do every other month. We try to do an individual adventure, that gets like, anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, sometimes more. Sometimes you do better, and then we just keep those rolling, and then they ship out immediately. They're already done. They're already finished. We're basically taking pre-orders, and then boom, they're out. Boom, they're out. So it does work, but it doesn't necessarily.
I think it's right, and I think it's a step down for Indiegogo. I don't think they have the following Kickstarter does.
No, they don't.
So
has built-in.
It works well for
market.
Adventures, but not for what you're doing.
It's built-in advertising.
Yeah.
And by the way, talking about Kickstarter and that, there's a link at the bottom of the screen, which I haven't mentioned yet, but been up for virtually the whole cast. Tenkars-tavern.games /Zeta Complex. They'll take you right to the Kickstarter. I put it in the chat once or twice, but I'll put it up again. But this way, this is the shortened link. You don't have to figure out. If you don't want to go to Kickstarter and do a search on Kickstarter for Zeta Complex, this is the easy way to get there.
Except that I didn't see it because I'm an idiot, and I just went and did the search and found it and then backed it. So yeah, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mike. But you're not showing it on the page there, but we hired Ed Bigford is going to be doing the main artwork for Zeta Complex.
That's great. It's great.
I got a couple of images of his up there. If you scroll down a little bit, there, that's Ed's from Metal Robot, and that one there. That's going to be the cover for the first scenario that I ran all of last year. I think I've run it for the last time. I've run it about 5 times now. And then you can also, if you don't have the Savage World rules and stuff, you can pick those up as part of the Kickstarter. And then I've also got, there's the deck of cards. And like I said, you get wild card dice. And so I have some special ones for Zeta Complex. Because it takes a regular poly set plus 1d6. So it's what you normally use to play with.
I'm going to pimp one of your products here. You've done some really cool dice over the years, and not just dice that have numbers. You have mental illness dice, which is awesome.
Mental illness.
Insanity dice. Insanity dice. I'm sorry. Mental illness not in there.
It's mental illness.
Those are great. And then, did you do hit location dice or not? I might think of somebody else. I can't remember.
I did a set of crit fumble dice, and part of that had a hit location. And instead of saying leg or arm, it actually has a picture with that part highlighted that's in red.
I think my brother might have backed that because I have a set here that I don't think I backed it, but I think he backed it in the game of the dice for our game. Okay. So I could tell him they got hit in the nuts or whatever, you got hit in the head or wherever you got hit, I could roll it on the dice. So I've got a set, but I don't remember buying it. Maybe I bought it from you at a convention. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Bob, I actually no, this is Dandelion Games. So yeah, it's a labor of love, but I have been planning to get this in my rotation for a while, and people at North Texas have been begging me to put this up on Kickstarter for some time. So it was just fell into the natural rotation after I did the Visions of Cthulhu cards. This was next up. So yeah.
Okay, I've fallen behind on all the chat. What the hell happened here?
Just give the max amount. Yes, Gary,
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that.
Oh, what about the engineering dice?
Oh yeah, I also did engineering dice and software dice and IT dice. So they were they're not on this Kickstarter, obviously, but actually, like engineering dice, I've had to redo like 5 times. I've had to reprint them. I put them out as a joke, like really the first time I put them out there, and my goal was like $500 or $100 or something really low, ridiculous. Ended up making $30,000 on them.
Really?
I remember that. It was great. That was so great.
It was one of the few Kickstarters I ever seen that never had a dip. Its line literally was a 45-degree angle for the whole 30 days. It was crazy. So,
Damn.
yeah. And actually, so somebody came to me at a con, quick story here. Somebody came to me at a con and said, oh, you're selling engineering dice. That's so awesome. I'm like, I'm glad you like them. Are you interested in say? He said, no, I haven't said. I bought them from Ben. And he looked down at my name tag. Oh, you're Ben Bird. Can I get a selfie with you? Okay. I was like, okay. I said, so are you an engineer? He goes, no, I'm a barber. But I service engineers. And so he has a dice tray in his barber shop with my engineering dice. And as the engineers come in, they roll the dice. And so now above that tray with the dice, he's got a picture of him and me.
Nice.
So cute story there. But yeah, it's great. Had a company from Germany give them away as a Christmas gift to their engineers. And so they ordered like 500 sets from me. So I had to ship them all to Germany. And they said, don't pack them or anything. Just send us the loose dice. And I said, okay. So I sent them the dice. And then about March, I get a little packet the next year. And it's a little candy box. And it's got, for 9 pieces of candy, except 3 of them had been removed. And there were the 3 engineering dice in there. And it had a little note. And it said, Merry Christmas to everybody. And instead of working late, just roll the dice, write down what it says, and go home and enjoy it with your family.
So people that don't know what the engineering dice is, tell them what the engineering dice are.
So engineering dice is just 3 dice, and they're different colors. They have red, green, and blue. And you roll it, and the red one gives you the problem that your engineering project is facing. The blue one then tells you the reason for it, and the green gives you a solution to fix it. And it works on 95.3% of all projects you've ever worked on. Studies have shown. So
studies have shown. Okay, great. Wow.
Studies have shown.
So, I'm glad there's a scientific reason here. Yeah.
And you can probably still go to Kickstarter and search for engineering dice and find them. It's funny because I've seen tons of semi ripoffs after that because they became real big for a little while. People are doing all these specialty dice and stuff like that.
It's weird when something like that hits, right? Because it's one of those things you don't know. That's why people launch Kickstarters, because they keep. I remember back in the early days of Kickstarter. I don't know if you guys remember stuff like the potato salad recipe somebody had. And it got like $500,000 or something. I mean, so people are always hoping. You're like, just throw this idea out there. Maybe it'll do better. And I think that's funny that just kind of like, I'll do a set of dice and have engineering problems, and all of a sudden it explodes. You're like, what the hell? I mean,
it was funny. It was funny. So, but sometimes things were good. So,
man, I'm gonna have to look for those dice next time I'm at your table next year.
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about that, Robert. I don't care.
Oh. Hey.
Somebody actually once suggested I do some for nurses. And I said, there ain't no way in hell I'm going to do anything medical. Somebody's going to roll them and treat themselves and sue me over it.
I'm suing you. I'm suing you. Yes.
No,
your dice said to take out my spleen and replace it with a bottle of beer. And I thought it was real. I thought this was a real medical thing.
Oh.
Why come? Oh my!
And Robert, if you need those dice, seek help.
Monkeypox dice. Okay, I just saw that. Yeah, monkeypox dice.
Monkeypox dice. Listen, all you need is a D20, and as long as you don't roll a 20,
I'm not going anywhere near
how
this.
You got it.
I am not going anywhere near this because I don't want us to be canceled. We will be canceled.
Make my lawyer day burn.
Let's get Ty to sponsor Lawyer Dice.
That could be interesting, but all it is going to be a bunch of like worthless Latin terms that nobody ever uses in real life.
It'd probably summon some demon.
We're going deep. Ew. Thank you, Rob.
This is why I'm not touching monkeypox dice. I'm not touching it.
Literally, figuratively.
No, I'm not going to go there. Is all the places I'll go, I won't go there. So.
Oh, good. Oh.
But by the way, just apropos of nothing, did you see? You saw Jeremy Fowler's newest work of art, right, Eric?
Yes, I did.
Oh, my God. Man is so talented. He is so freaking talented.
I have not. So.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on. Let's see if I can
we put it up on the page? Jeremy Fowler, who's he's I don't know where he gets his inspiration. I don't know where he gets his inspiration.
Mike, if you have it, just send it to me in Facebook or and
I'll send you. We can throw it up there because it's amazing, folks. The man, the legend. He took a candid back stage shot of last year's midnight auction and turned it into a beautiful work of art.
Oh, I did see this. Okay, yes. I did see this, as a matter of fact.
Beautiful work of art being very subjective. But.
Yes, I believe. When you said beautiful, it threw me off there. I think Satan was in it. As well as some guy in a lobster suit.
Like, Rach is looking at it, and she's going, I see Mike. I see Mike's brother. She goes, oh my God, is that the guy from...
What's he?
I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my God. And she goes, who's that in the background fighting a devil? I go, that's a scene from the Classic Player's Handbook.
Yes. That was a Classic Player's Handbook. So.
Yeah, I go, that's got, one has nothing, that just adds to it.
Oh, yeah. And it fits with our group
Facebook's not cooperating with me right now. Actually, Facebook's not even coming up. So I'll try to get that up to you a little later.
You had it in North Texas, right?
I know. But
you put it in North Texas not too long ago.
Why is Facebook not coming up? I don't get it.
I'm sure.
My wife said she was having. My wife said she was having some problems with Facebook today too. So
it was getting wonky.
Yeah, it's I can't pull it up right now. It's just.
I see it. I see it right here.
Yeah,
I can't find it in my feed.
I'll tell you what. I'll send you it in the private. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me see here.
Show me your privates, Ben. Show me your privates.
There you go.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to give anything away, but I can see some shirts with this on it going at the midnight auction. Enlarge this, Eric, so we can all appreciate the beauty of this.
There we go.
So the classic A Paladin in Hell. These three devils are sitting around having a beer, watching it as it happens.
As it happens.
It just so happens to resemble myself, my brother, and Kurt Gould. I don't know if that's intentional or not. That might just be an accident. I don't know. So.
Very intentional.
Kurt better be coming in with a very large, checkbook next year. Could actually be hanging up on the Witches.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Hopefully, Jeremy will donate this beautiful work of art.
Oh,
but if nothing else, I have images of it, and and we may see this on a T-shirt. We may. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know.
What always confused me was "What's Up" by Robert Ted here. That's is that supposed to be a hoof up there or what?
I don't know. He's got a snake around him.
Yeah, he's got a snake around him.
I'm not sure he had a snake around him back in that real life. I don't remember seeing a snake, but you never know.
You never know with Robert. So
you know what?
No, there might have been
You needed a little extra. You needed that little extra bit, and and there's Mike with his devil drink.
Yes. There's well, I don't know. Is that supposed to be me? I guess. Oh yeah, he does look exactly like me. So I guess it is. Oh man. And it's funny is this came unsolicited. It's just in my in my Facebook feed one day. I'm like, what the hell? So I mean,
that's awesome.
Jeremy spent time in his life doing this, which I guess could be a waste of his talent. Seen as a waste of his talent, I'm not sure.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I have, matter of fact, speaking of Jeremy Fowler, hold on, I've got some good stuff here.
The DM screen, that'd be interesting.
Kurt, buyout. See, I told you. Kurt said buyout.
You can set the price now.
These are some sketches that Jeremy gave me. I don't know who that's supposed to be. Yeah. Okay. And here's our favorite.
Hey, Kurt, how you doing?
There's our bartender.
Oh man, that's actually really good there.
I love that.
Here's a friend of it. Here's somebody I know. I should know who this is, but I'm not positive. I know who it is.
I don't
know. There's no resemblance to anyone we know who shows up to North Texas.
Just self-portrait. Come on.
Oh man. So yeah, there's some good. Jeremy does some great stuff and gives us a lot. He actually, I think I've got some other Jeremy stuff here. I forgot about these. And so I don't know why these were framed. I don't know. But here we go. Here's this. Here's that one.
That's the Master Baker.
Yep, the Master Baker. From what module is this, or adventure? Or?
That's actually, I think it was supposed. I think apparently it's supposed to be in Tenkar's Minions. Yeah.
Okay, this is weird. Okay, so it's somebody's pants around their ankles, and they're sitting somewhere.
They're sitting in Tenkar's toilet. I can guarantee you.
That's Tenkar's toilet that we've heard so much about. Okay. Well, these will go up for auction next year, by the way, because I think they were supposed to go up this year, and we just had so much stuff they didn't make it. So we've got some Jeremy Fowler original artwork for auction next year.
You had to get rid of those souls. I remember that.
yeah. I mean, come on, I had to sell souls.
So little time.
Well, that was the best scam that Satan's ever run.
that was awesome.
For the cost of Lloyd drawing a piece of paper up and printing out the piece of paper, I was making $80 to $200 off those things. It's a sheet of paper that says Satan sells the soul of whatever for this reason, and now I'm giving it to you. And so, yeah, we got rid of a lot of souls, a lot of important souls, and that scam worked so good. We'll probably have it next year because people were paying me $100 for a sheet of paper. So yes, you can't get much better than that. That's a great scam.
I'm trying to catch my breath, but going back to Zeta Complex.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to be here talking about this.
Oh wait,
I'm here.
But hey, folks, a little peek behind the curtain. This shit isn't scripted. The pre-show was pretty much catching up with Ben and making fun of Mike before Mike logged in, and then actually coming on time.
They're making fun of me after I logged in.
So for us to be off script and in the weeds is hopefully why you love this show. We really do hope that. So
they show up for a reason. I don't know.
Yes, they do, and repeatedly. That's that. It's like, well, if I saw it once and I thought it was shit, I wouldn't be back. But I'm back every week. Obviously, you like it. We thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that Kim won Ty Beard's soul. I'm sorry, Kim. That's virtually worthless, but yeah, it's something nice to have, I guess. Ty Beard's soul is not it's not the drawing point of somebody like now Alex Kamer's soul. That was a pricey item. Mark Greenberg won that after spirited bidding with Alex himself, who wanted his soul back, but apparently didn't want it bad enough because
well, you know what? Maybe he knows how much it's really worth. Was like,
well, you know, Mark
paying at this point.
Mark won both Bill Meinhardt and Alex Kamer's soul, so he's collecting famous collector souls, which is that's a very niche thing in our hobby.
Very niche.
I got a question, and I'm hoping Gary's still on, but can Kurt put in a silent bid for the artwork ahead of it? Because personally, for me, I'd love to see that in a Watsy office and have others from Watsy come in and go, Kurt, wait, that's the Paladin in Hell. Why are you? Why are you?
Crab uniform.
What the?
Jeremy hasn't even donated this. For all I know, Jeremy wants to
Kurt's bidding on it from you, and you don't even own it yet.
I don't own it.
Hey,
Jeremy just showed it to me, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on here.
He could split the money between the con and Jeremy, And then
you know Jeremy better than anybody. You need to talk to Jeremy then.
All I gotta tell him is that is great.
Just tell him that Kurt Gould wants it on the wall, and that may be a sale right there.
It might be, yes. And Gary says he will work any deal with Kurt so long as they're legal, right?
Kurt's our buddy, man. Kurt
now I might be able to work that into my next book, so I may want to.
Well, you have to admit, looking at that, you lost like 1 or 2 points of sanity just by looking at that picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that might easily work into Call of Cthulhu module. You see this on the wall, immediately roll for make your sanity roll.
Immediately lose a D10 sanity points.
All right. Yes. Discuss the legal with Ty. Ty. Oh, actually, Kurt's willing to settle on a print. It would have to be not just a photocopy. It have to be a high quality.
Why is he getting cheap? He's getting cheap on this. Come on.
Yeah. What's up with that, Kurt?
Well,
one DD is tough, man. It's tough.
He bought the crab costume that I.
Mr. Crab. Yeah, we had Mr. Crab. Mr. Crab was introduced this year. Mr. Crab. By the way, a fan favorite. I hope Mr. Crab returns because Mr. Crab was a fan favorite this year. He without any introduction at all, and without any explanation, I just said to him, "Here's my assistant, Mr. Krabs," and he walks out in a crab uniform, and he brought the house down. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Mr. Krabs.
I haven't seen sightings of him around though. I'm not sure, like the skeleton that Gary got.
Oh my god!
Oh god!
is touring Dallas these days.
It's disturbing. His wife is in love with that skeleton, and I'm worried about Gary. I'm worried about Gary's safety at this point.
Need to leave with the winner. Good luck with that, Gary.
Yeah. What was it? Whoever won the skeleton left it in the foyer. So, yeah, that's not how you're supposed to do it, guys. Come on.
Gary's in love with the skeleton too. You gave it a nickname. What was it, Gary?
His name is Carl because they had.
Oh, is it Carl?
Heil,
that's right.
It had Carl Heil's name tag on it.
Oh God! Well, that's his clone. Yes, yeah.
The funny part was the people at the hotel adopted it, and so they sent us a picture of the skeleton like sitting in the operations room at the hotel, and said, "Hey, you guys going to come pick up Carl?" And we're like, "What the hell?"
That's right. I remember that. The hotel has actually gotten very cool. I don't know if it was because it was a contract year or what.
Yeah, well, they hired back their convention staff, which convention staff, their job is to make conventions work and to make people who run conventions want to come back. And so once the 2 years that we had the COVID, the convention staff was laid off or fired, and the manager was trying to do 2 jobs. And I'm sorry, managers can't do convention staff jobs. They just don't know what to do. And so that was one of the issues we had. But once they get the convention staff back, they did a great job this year.
Yeah.
We were very, very happy with the job they did. And hopefully we're signing another contract with them. And that's something Gary needs to be working on. I think Gary is working on that. We're supposedly going to be signing another contract with the Westing because we were very happy with how everything went this year. So, and at this point, it's probably too late to sign a contract with anybody else. Don't tell the Westing that. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be back next year.
Gary says they actually love us and fight internally on who gets to run our convention.
That's true. They did. They fought, and they were very cool because everything. When you went in, they had like the little potion bottles. I mean,
those are awesome.
They set it up really. Oh, almost done actually. Thanks, Gary. That's awesome. Yeah, they were set up. I mean, they had dice everywhere. They were wearing shirts. I mean, it was so cool. They were really into it this year. That's how it used to be. 2019 prior. They were really into it. Really, it was the last 2 years without COVID. But I think that was everybody. I mean, it wasn't just
you can't blame them. So
no, it was the restaurant industry. It was all the entertainment industry. They all just kind of gave up. And just said, "Screw it. We're not going to be open. We're just doing pickups. And you can't eat in our restaurant anymore. Just pick it up outside." I mean, just everything was like that for a couple of years.
Well, Comet was much better than the super hot rooms that they used to have there.
Yeah,
we figured out the problem for that too, and that will be solved. That's actually already solved. So
they wanted to make sure the temperature was familiar to those from Wisconsin. So
that's right. They did that just for you, Kim.
It should have been like, oh, okay,
it's like home. Well,
didn't somebody bring down a comforter from one of the rooms upstairs?
I felt sorry for the Pocket Jacks comics guy because he was in one of the rooms that was like 60 degrees. That guy he toughed it out, but that was above and beyond the Call of Duty. But yeah, that was pretty funny. So hopefully we'll have vendor sign-ups too. We have obviously I don't know how this turned to the North Texas convention page. But, we got sign-ups already. So yeah, by the way, just to let you guys know, exactly 1 week from today, that's when our 30% off tickets. That after that, it's going to be pretty much full price up until June. So you have exactly 7 days if you want to get the discount on your tickets.
So and now you have to have the code, right? What's the code, Mike?
The code. I think
Gary.
you just have to.
Gary, what's the code, Gary? Just put it up in the chat.
I think as long as you tell them you're with the con, I think you're okay. But Gary,
no, when you register,
I think it was NTX 30 or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe that's NTX 30.
Yeah,
no code.
No code.
No, just tell them you're going to register for the con, or you're just registering on the tabletop events. This isn't the hotel. This is with tabletop events. Right. You just register tabletop events, and at the end there'll be a little thing saying, "Do you want to do the code or not?"
Oh wait, no code. No code, but NTX 30 is the code.
Oh, gee. Come on, Gary. You're making me look bad here. You're making me look bad, Gary. Come on.
You're making me feel like I'm back at work. I'm flashing back at least 6 years. Dealing with, I don't know, what, union employees that happen to carry firearms.
Okay, so you don't have to use the code. That's true.
Oh, right now I guess it's just $30. So
you can pay full price.
I paid full price, so I already got my ticket.
This guy down here, he's cheap. So if he paid full price,
I'll probably do it on the 1st of September. So I'm not tempted to take the deal. I always pay full price. So
nice. Well,
but
since
now, I'm gonna steer us for a second.
Okay.
Don't be offended. I'm gonna steer us.
Be the host.
What's on the screen? Because before we get too fucking derailed, I want to go over the pricing of this because the pricing actually is pretty decent. The core PDF, which I'm guessing is that's the setting. You need the Savage World rules to go with it. But most of us, if you're a gamer, you probably already own them if you don't even use them. I know I have
they sell one of the levels sells them. You can get the fan.
Yes.
The pack, yeah. But
it's $10 in PDF, and you get the stretch goals. But for $15, you get the intro adventure too, which if you are, if you don't like physical products anymore, which if you're a D&D player, you better not. If you're a D&D player, you better start saying, I only want digital and I want to pay every month. That's a whole other story. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But $15 gets you the setting and the mission PDF and the
Yes.
All right. 25 is a physical copy of the rules. Do they get a PDF with that too, or just the physical?
I think that's just the physical book.
All right.
I think for 30 you get the PDF also.
Okay. 35 rule book intro mission.
In both PDFs. I think that's right.
45. 45 is.
Oh, I have to look. I can't read. It's too small.
All right. Yeah, all right. So 45 is the rule book, the mission book, and the
PDFs. Yeah. So you get a little bit of a discount there. Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal. I think if you don't have the Savage World rules, the $70 bundle is an awesome way to get it, because the Savage World's rules are good rules. This is coming from a grognard who hates new rules. I've been dabbling with Savage Worlds for years. I don't have a gaming group that ever wants to play anything that isn't kind of OSR. But in any case, and then there are the Zeta Complex bundle, which I'm guessing gives the bennies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get the bennies and the deck of cards. So
the deck of cards looks pretty cool. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
and you get cards.
And you get 6 of the wild card dice. So one for you and all your players. So that's the idea.
Don't give them to your players.
You can collect them afterwards. That was the idea, was you're getting them for a group. So anyway.
I just, I'm not saying I don't trust my players. It's just that I don't trust them.
Well, and if you play with me at a convention, you get one for free. So
Gary says give him $200 and you're done. You'll get everything.
Yes.
Thanks for your help, Gary. Gary's trying to help us make money for the con. That's great. Yeah. Good thinking, Gary.
I don't think that's for the con. That's the highest level.
Crazy go nuts, man. Crazy go nuts. But no, this actually looks, again, I am a Paranoia fan. I actually have a unique, I don't want to call it an artifact, but when I bought my Paranoia first edition rules, and this is going back to 84, 85. You remember how hard it was to actually get dice for anything? So it came with 2 10-sided dice, and my box came with zero 10-sided dice. So this is before email. I had to type out a letter on my sister's word processor. I think it was on a word processor. It could have been the typewriter. And send it in. And I requesting my dice. And I get back a letter on West End Games stationery, printed on not dot matrix, but square matrix, like the rectangular matrix that looks sharp.
Oh gosh.
Kind of. And it's from Ken Rolston. And he goes, I apologize for the dice missing from your box set. It was obviously something in the middle of manufacturing. And right in the middle of a sentence, the computer breaks in, tells me that obviously I'm at fault, that the computer never makes any mistake, and I should turn myself in for termination. And goes back to Ken apologizing. I never got the dice. I still have that letter.
See, that's a keepsake there.
And I also I did play testing for Hill Sector Blues when they had Western Games within Lower Manhattan, or within Midtown. But I play tested. It was at night, sitting on the desks of West End Games creators, because there was no game space. You sat on somebody's desk and made space for you and your game sheet, and that's where you play tested. So I had some very good Paranoia memories, and my group loved it because they hated each other. Only during Paranoia, the backstabbing was amazing. My box is full of notes that they were passing back and forth. So if you like Paranoia, folks, I'm going to be back in this after the show. I love that magic of the early Paranoia. I didn't like second edition so much, as it tried to step away from some of that wackiness. I always enjoyed the outward wackiness of the initial paranoia was something special.
Yeah, and that's what we've tried to recapture here is some of that wackiness with how we run things. You're going to have your beta prototypes that can usually do more damage to you than than any of the creatures out there that you'll be facing. But if you scroll to the cover of the module, latest technology there, down a little. You went too far. A little bit more down. Down. Second one, right there. Okay, so what you have here is geliportation. So it's a new invention, and
I like it.
You're placed in a globe and filled with a gelatin, and then the computer catapults you out to where you need to go. This is geliportation. It works really well. Until they send the transport vehicle, which always goes last. But it's great fun. So we're trying to recapture some of that magic in the bottle. I think we've done a really good job of it. But it's also gone a little bit beyond what paranoia was with your choices. You're building your characters. You don't have to just take a human who always has a mutant power and always is in a secret society, and everybody knows it. So everybody knows everybody's a traitor right off from the start. Here you have a little more choices in what you can do. There's advantages to taking those things, but you don't have to. So your character can be a lot different, and you have a lot more options to build with. So, and things like magic and stuff are back in the world. So you can run a magic user in this. They don't work well with technology usually, but it's there's a lot of different options in this. It uses 80-90% of the Savage World rules that you can from the base book. And so there's a few things you can't do, but nearly all of them you can. So, including running elves or dwarves or half folk. They're just mutants, basically is the way the computer sees them. And at this point, we're down to Zeta Complex. And so this is mankind's last hope. And so the computer will do anything, including killing you over and over and over again to make sure mankind survives. And so things like mutant powers are no longer considered automatically traitorous and illegal, but there's still a large group of the residents of Zeta Complex who do feel that way. And so it's so you're playing a lot more off of each other like that. So
that's cool. Gary, are there rocket boots you can throw in this version? I'm sure you can run.
Absolutely. And actually, what I'm working on right now, and it's one of the chapters in the book, is a whole section on beta prototypes where you have random generation and you can randomly because that was always the hardest part, in my opinion. Writing the adventures wasn't hard. Coming up with all the unique what they call them, R&D items for players to play with, because that's, in my opinion, one of the best parts of the game is what you're getting, the rocket boots or something like that, whether they'll work or not when you try to use them. Right. And so I've actually created random generation charts that you can go through and create your own really quick and easy. And I'm probably going to have 100 created and in the book because once you get the charts and stuff, it's really easy to create them. So, and that's what I'm working on right now, as a matter of fact. So I typed up the charts today while I was at work. Hopefully my boss isn't watching this.
So, Foogly is in the room, Mike.
We just had a whole section dedicated to him, and he wasn't here. Why is everybody showing up late? This is what happens when you show up late. You get to hear it.
Yeah, we were showing your artwork, sir. We were showing your artwork.
Oh, okay. Is that who Foogly is? I don't know.
We actually already sold your artwork, but as far as I know, it's not.
But we don't own it yet.
It's not even for sale yet. It's not even for sale yet. But we had many offers from the audience. So
Kurt was like he wants a copy for his office, at Wizards of the Coast. So, but he's willing to take a professional print because apparently he thinks he might be priced out of an actual auction. Just so you know, your work is getting very popular.
It's very well respected in the industry, or well, whatever we are. We're not really the industry, but in our circles, it's very well respected. Let's put it that way. We were showing off all your cool art, and I was showing off all the stuff I've got. I mean, we've got all kinds of stuff laid around here that we're going to auction off next year. So, yeah, there's got some great stuff. The guy has an incredible body of work, folks.
No, Chaosium Con, I think, is in April. Somebody was asking about Chaosium Con. Yeah. So I'm going to be there also. So at Chaosium Con.
I thought about making that drive. That's right at the edge. It's about
I'm not driving. I'm flying. So
I'm gonna do two. I could do 2 9-hour days, but that's a tough one for me.
No. I've decided I'm not doing any drives over 6 hours anymore. So I'm gotten too old for that crap. So.
Ben, I'm not flying ever again in my life if I can avoid it. So, I got the new car though. I got the new kick-ass car. I got the new Telluride. So as long as it's within about 8 hours or less, I can do it. That's why 9 hours is right at the edge of. I want to do this 2 days in a row. I may not do 9 hours. That's a tough one. Gary Con and Game Hole are about 8 hours. They're 8 hours a day. It's really weird. I can't tell you. And Ben's the same way. There's just that split between what you can do and what you can't do. I mean, I can do 8 hours. I'm fine. After 8 hours, I'm no good. I'm no good at all. And for Ben, he just, like you say, just said it's 6 hours, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's I just made a 9-hour drive back from New Mexico, and I had somebody splitting the driving with me, and I could do that, but doing it 2 days in a row is just insanely ridiculous. Because then you're tired when you get to the con. It takes you 2 days to recover. It's time to drive back, and you get home, and you're just, it was ridiculous. So
when I was younger, John Lau and I went to my first Gen Con, and we did the stupid drive 15 hours because we know what we do, and it was awful. And it was awful. And I said I would never do that again. That's why I try to break these trips up in 2 days, because I am not going to ever drive 15 hours. And
but then you have to take an extra day of vacation on each end. And
you're tired. You're so tired. And I remember we got back. I slept for 2 days straight because I was just so beat down. Because we did 15 hours back. We did 15 hours there, 15 hours back. And it was just absolutely miserable.
Yeah, me and Paul and John did that this year. And that was just, but all three of us decided we're never doing that again. So I'm just not going to do it.
Well, getting the Telluride helps me a lot because it's like riding in your mom's bosom. I mean, it's just the most nicest drive I've ever had. So the 8 hours, I think I'll have a problem with. Like I said, it's like renting a car. It's like renting a car you don't own, because I've never owned anything this nice in my life. So it's like renting a car, and I can. So Gary Con and Game Hole will be okay. Chaosium Con's, and it's right on the edge, man. I don't know. I figure I can do the first day, go to Nashville, then Nashville there, but that's a 10-hour drive, then an 8-hour drive. And
where is Chaosium Con?
It's up in Detroit, outside Detroit.
Ann Arbor, Michigan. Yes, Ann Arbor. So it looks fun, though, and everybody that went last year had a blast. And it's all the people that Ben and I know, and we all know, and Eric and I, we all know these people. So yeah, it would be really fun. I would.
Yeah, I'm not going up to be a vendor though. So I already they asked me if I wanted to be a vendor. I said no, I don't want to be a vendor. So we're talking about me coming up and doing some panels and running games and stuff like that. And they talked about giving me a small table to just put a few books on to sell in my free time, but so it'll probably, because like vendors, they want you at your vending table the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm going to ReaperCon next weekend, and they're like, we expect your booth to be manned the whole time it's open.
They're very
and so I can only run games after the vending hall closes at ReaperCon. Well, I want to be able to run games and playing games and hang out with people the whole time I'm at Chaos.
Or you could get that cute girl that always works your stand.
But then I have to fly her up there and get her.
She's adorable. She's so wonderful. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, Ben. I don't.
Lauren? Are you talking about Lauren?
Awesome. She's the most adorable thing ever.
And then I have to bring her husband with us too.
Bring them both. They both need to come. But they can work your booth while you run games. That's the whole.
Oh
point.
yeah,
They're
I
working your
know.
booth
There's
while
no
you're running
profit
games.
in it, but that's okay.
None at all. None. Zero. Yeah, nada.
So and I do that, and they will when it's local. Like they'll go wherever I ask them to do usually, as long as. But I think that may be a little bit too far, and so.
Bill Barsh has an offer.
We'll be up there with Zach and Zach's.
Oh, that's awesome, Bill. Thank you, man.
Oh, that's nice. No, we'll be up there with Jen and Zach next week, so we'll see you there. I think my wife's going to show up and hang out too, but she's probably not working the booth. But yeah, I think Jen will be there. I'm going to try to get my grandson to come up too, because he's been living with us for rent free for 6 months now. It's
time for him to earn some money, huh?
Hell yes. Hell yes. So I might get him up there, but it'll be fun. We had a good time at ReaperCon last year, and I'm sorry, not last year, 2019. That's the last time they did it. So it's a very nice space. So I think you'll do good, man. I really do. I think it's all.
I'm going to be up there by myself. Matt's going to join me on Saturday, but Lauren and her husband, they're off to a wedding that weekend, so they weren't available.
Oh,
so
man, that's too bad.
They're going to join me at Expo at the beginning of August or October there.
I'm going to Expo too, so I'll see you at Expo also. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see Lauren there. She'll be up and run my booth.
I was going to hire her to work my booth. Damn it. Okay. Well,
don't you even try to poach her.
No, I will poach her. I will poach her in a second. She's adorable. She's one of those sweet girl next door types that you just want to walk up and talk to her because she's just so absolutely adorable. So, yeah, she really
is. But if you sit down and play a game with her ruthless side comes out, and she is, and right. She is so good at gaming. Yeah. And I introduced her. She was big into card games and board games, and I introduced her into role playing games, and she has just fallen in love with role playing games now. So. I
think I saw her playing Ultimate Dinosaur Wrestling once, and she was not a good person. She was a very bad person. She wanted to win. She wanted to win that trophy, man.
She is very competitive. I don't think I've ever beat her in a game of Firefly. She's a huge Firefly fan. So,
well, we're hitting here about 8:20 or so. I wanted to get into a tight discussion, and Ben's a smart guy. He can hang with us here. Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about 1D&D because that is the hot thing, and I am just chomping at the bit to talk about this. And yet we have guests the next 5 weeks. Now, I know Ben and Bill will probably want to talk about this next week too, because this will impact stuff they do. But I just want to bring this up because you did a video on 1D&D, Eric, and it was probably it might have been the hottest video you've ever done.
No, the hottest video I ever done was when I would say, "What happened to the trove?" That one. Everybody's like, "Oh, wait, what happened to the place where I get my free gaming shit that I'm not supposed to be getting?" that was, but yeah.
But this one took off pretty good.
It went pretty viral. I was happy with it. But
so summarize a little bit what is going on and what you talked about in your video, because it was pretty interesting.
Well, I think that there are three aspects to this, and they all three main. One is 1D&D means that they're not going to reboot the edition. Everything from 5e onwards going to be, in theory, compatible. At least the core engine will be. They're going to change the fluff. They're going to change the descriptions. They're going to change the layout. They're going to change the art, change the presentation. They're going to change everything, but the core rules, the mechanics are not going to get changed. They saw what happened with Pathfinder 2 and what happened to Paizo with that. They know from their own history what happened with D&D 4e. They're not going to go back to that. All right. I've been saying that for over a year, that they were going to do it was going to be like a D&D 5.1. But now there's a reason why they're going to do this, because they want to go to less physical, more electronic, more, not even saying PDF, because they don't seem to like PDFs, but they seem to want electronic versions of your books. Electronic versions of your books can be updated. They can be stealth updated. They can be changed. They can be mushed around. You don't own it, right? You basically license it, even if you bought it. Once they have control over it, because it's a subscription service, and that's what they want. So now, number 3. Number 3 is going to lead into my last point. Number 3 is the VTT. VTT, we've already saw what happened with the 4E VTT, with that bag of shit, with cribbed animation from Fantasy Grounds to show the animated dice. So they literally stole that. Their main programmers were, I think, common law husband and wife, where the husband killed the wife and then committed suicide. So they lost their main programmers on that one through a horrible event. So that one was doomed. But they wanted to do microtransactions with that one. They wanted you to pay per mini. What are we going to likely see, in my opinion, with the VTT? It's going to be integrated, that's the final part, with everything. So when you get your physical adventure, you can buy it through Amazon at a discount. You can buy it at your game store for full price. But if you buy it through Wizards of the Coast, their web store, you get the physical adventure, you get the digital version, and you're going to get the VTT content included for one low price. And that, I see, is how they're trying to literally take control over that market. It's all encompassing. Now, they didn't come out and say the VTT content will be included, but I can virtually guarantee it, because already they're saying, well, the VTT might be a bit complicated for people to, draw their own dungeons, because it's going to be 3D, but you'll be able to get packs, like the old Geomorphs. No, they're going to integrate that. They're going to want to control it all, and it's going to be a subscription process. And if you want additional minis beyond what you get in these packs, I'm sure it's going to be a cheap price, 50 cents a mini. What? Come on. They're not going to allow you, I don't think, to make your own 3D sculpts. Why would they? So to me, it's not like hobby stores aren't already suffering, but when this happens, you're going to be taking, in my opinion, very few people are going to be buying D&D material that's official Wizards of the Coast published material, core books and their adventures through your hobby store, because they're going to want to get the full shebang. The D&D Beyond, when they brought out D&D Beyond, it was the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning, depending on how you look at it. It was certainly them wanting to control the money coming in from different directions. And the new president weren't they part of like Microsoft's Xbox team? Mm-hmm. So they're coming in with the idea of digital is where the money is. Xbox makes the money off of not so much selling you physical product, you get downloads, right? Instant gratification. So, Mike, is that a good enough summary?
Yep. And so, but I have a few things to add, because I think this is really interesting. So, I first of all, if you're playing OSR games, I don't know how this impacts you at all. And I see some grogs going nuts about this, because I guess they have like to pee their pants over everything. I don't know why. Why do you care? If you're playing Swords of Wizardry, you're playing OSC, why on earth would you care about this?
Because there's a fear that the current VTTs are now going to be abandoned. Because you have the one VTT to rule it all, and it only does one D&D. But what did we do before VTTs? We played online. The pandemic changed that balance. We played online before, and listen, before the pandemic, I think most game was probably in person. I think after the pandemic, I think those parameters that have changed. The economy has changed, and I think that Wizards of the Coast wants to be out in front of it and grabbing the biggest share of the VTT online market that they can. And I'm not saying that there won't be a viable offline market, but they want that online market to be theirs, and they're not holding back.
And so I look at this and what you just said, Eric, and then I'm looking at what's going on with. I'm seeing an opportunity here, because I see opportunity, like you said, if they decide to get rid of that just opens the door for somebody else to do it, right? I mean, there's nothing that says you can't do something like that online. So this opens the door for opportunity, not just with that, but with the fact that I really think they're moving away from an in-store model totally in a book model. I think when you read their FAQ, and I was really interested in some of the stuff they said. I think they're really interested in basically cutting out the retailer. They're interested in cutting out Amazon. They don't want any middlemen anymore. They want to give you the product directly to you. They don't want middlemen. And I think this is going to have huge repercussions for retailers, because why on earth are you going to be carrying 5E's product if they're not going to let you sell 5E's product in your store or newer product?
And Mike, remember something else that we always say: it 5E is the rising tide that lifts all ships. If you remove that rising tide from physical stores, yes, there's a vacuum caused. Yes, other publishers are going to fill it, but you're also going to lose the 5E players that would have been coming into the store looking for 5E and might have found other stuff. So they're gambling, you're right, on a greater profit margin is to get out of selling, having to go through and having to sell things wholesale. I don't think they're going to give up on Amazon completely. Amazon will be a loss leader. And you give out your first piece of crack for somebody to smoke for $5, but then after that you're going to charge them $25. Let them get that D&D basic set, the player's handbook, the core books. Let them get them dirt cheap. They're going to see what they have. They're going to like it, and now they're going to subscribe to D&D Beyond, and now we have them hooked later on. Amazon is still going to be part of it.
But if you don't play online now, this has no effect on you virtually.
But I'm going to tell you, my suspicion is it's going to be a huge push by Wizards of the Coast to move a lot of gaming online, and or don't be surprised if I don't know, they put out an app that works on your tablet that allows you to basically do all the online stuff on your tablet, because they want you subscribed. See, that the whole thing is the subscription. They need you to subscribe.
Yeah, that's what they want.
That's what they want. Ever since World of Warcraft became the big money earner, was it like 20 years ago now? Once, EverCrack was EverCrack, but World of Warcraft blew it away. Once they saw subscription models, I think that they even like the idea of microtransactions, but a subscription, that's guaranteed money, that's evergreen. And that's what they want. So they're going to be pushing gently, but probably more firmly as time goes on, 5e players to have their tablet at the table. Use your D&D Beyond, and why bring books with you to the table when you can have? See, we think gaming is books, right? But
we're old
now. I bring all my gaming.
Yeah,
books.
we're the old guys here, so
I don't bring all my gaming books. If I have them in PDF and I'm going to a convention, I'm going to play Hyperborea, or I'm going to play Star Wars D6. I'm bringing a PDF. I'm not carrying those books with me to a con. I need room for me to buy new shit. But, so they're going to be looking, and they're not going to want it in PDF format, because PDFs can be shared, PDFs can be pirated. It's all going to be locked down material in D&D Beyond. And the moment you stop subscribing, you're going to lose access.
Interesting. Yeah. That's the same as model, like I don't know, Xbox Live, things like that. I had to tell the story last week in the chat was that I had an Xbox Live subscription I totally forgot about on a Xbox that's not hooked up anymore, and I happened to look over my box. It's like I'm paying $10 a month for the last year I've been using. So yeah, the subscription model works out great because they count on you not ever canceling that subscription or forgetting about the subscription, like a workout place like Planet Fitness or something. I haven't worked out in 3 years, but I'm still paying $10 a month because I forgot about this. So I understand that makes a lot of sense for them. I still look at this as an opportunity, because I think this is a huge opportunity for other companies to get their books in stores. If a mom walks in with her kids and they say, I want to play D&D, I want to play 5e. Well, guess what? Here's the company, Frog Eye Games, that has 5e, or whoever else has 5e.
Yeah, but again, they're going to have to cover the core books, but if you get the core books, you're not going to be getting the digitals. These stores are going to have to price things almost at a price loss for people to buy the starter set, or Wizards of the Coast is going to have to heavily discount things like the starter set, the Essentials box, to get them into stores, because that's where you're going to get that first buy. You're not going to get the first buy online. You're going to get the first buy in person. And Sean, you're right.
Yeah, this is going to say if you want to continue this, but the whole thing is some people will decide not to continue it. They'll be like, okay, I did this for a year. Yeah, that's okay, but I'm spending an extra $25 a month that I need for. I'm a college student now. I'm a poor college student. I can't spend this much money. And the great thing about games is always like Call of Cthulhu or D&D is that once you have the rule book, you don't necessarily need anything else. I mean, you don't.
That's true.
You really don't need anything else. And so. I think people will realize that, but you're right. People are going to get sucked into the microtransaction thing where I could do this or that. But there's always a solid group of people that they're not going to buy into that. They're going to be like,
what? A bunch of Luddites, but they're gambling that they're going to make more money, no longer catering to the Luddites, and I suspect they're right. Doesn't mean I'm glad they're right. But I suspect they're right. I mean,
probably.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I can see your point there. I just look at it as if you're an old school gamer and you still play old school games. I think this is a huge opportunity to get people without spending money. And basically, I would harp on that. Look, this doesn't cost any more money to do this. This is not a microtransaction type thing here.
Or subscription, No. But again, they're giving out the new shiny VTT. They're going to come out. I saw an argument. It was on. I think it was actually on that video. Somebody's like, "Well, making a new VTT costs money, and they're gonna go cheap. They're using Unreal Engine 5, and they're owned by Hasbro, and their president came from Microsoft. They're not going to go cheap. They're going to go. Dare I say it, balls deep. All right, because they know if they hit this out of the park, they get a home run. It's going to make them money for the next 10 years.
Yep, they'll be set for a long time if this works out for them.
Now they can screw it up too, though, and that's what's scary is they could absolutely screw it. If they screw it up, this will be under the not good. This is not good. Definitely not good.
Right.
But if they're smart, they won't screw this up. They'll do what they're supposed to, what they want to do. But this could screw up. This could easily screw up too.
Well, it's time, huh? I think the dogs are wanting me to go out and take them for a walk, but
we should let you go. Yes, let Mike go because his painkillers are probably wearing off from his.
I just popped a few more. I'm okay for another 30 minutes. I could if Ben wants to take off.
Well, I'm gonna drop here in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to say I think they're betting on the fact that they've got such a new generation coming in and playing 5e that are used to the subscriptions, used to the micro transactions compared to us old guys. We're like, what? I have to pay every month for this stuff. For us, that's just like unheard of. But for them, that's what they're used to. And I think I think personally, this business model is going to work for them. I think they're going to knock it out of the park personally. But that's me. I don't really want that to be the case because I'm afraid what it's going to happen to the stuff they have on Roll20 and, Fantasy Grounds and where that's all going to go away, and stuff like that because they're going to make it proprietary to their system only. But, but then that opens other opportunities for other game systems.
Yeah, and I guess that's my point is that I think this is a lot of opportunity for indie publishers and smaller games if they do it the right way. But I think you're right.
The problem is that they have to react to each of Wizards of the Coast moves. We still don't know what all those moves are long term. We got a general idea. We're not sure the specifics, and it means that these independent publishers or smaller publishers have to react to stuff on a very short window because you have to find your advantage and be the first one to get in there. It's going to help somebody. Yeah. It's just who sees the advantage and makes the move at the right time.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. I am going to have to run.
And we're going to pimp your
Pimp my stuff. For all those watching, please back it. It's really inexpensive to get in on the low level, $10 just to get the PDF of the book. So, anyway, and we've moved up. We've hit our 4th stretch goal already. We're doing strong. So I expect to have a good finish. So, all right. And if you're at ReaperCon, come by and say hi.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Definitely. I'll be at ReaperCon. That's great. Thanks,
all
man.
right.
We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this one D&D thing, I think it's going to be this might be the story of 2023.
Oh, certainly. And listen, we knew this was coming, right? We knew when they did the survey last year, they were, and everyone's like, it's the 50th anniversary. They're going to do something. And I'm not the only one who was saying, people talking about 6E. I'm like, they can't do a 6E. They've seen what's happened when you reboot a system these days. People aren't like, oh, excitement. People are like, wait a second. I have too much money invested in this shit. Now you're telling me it's useless. So that's why they keep on saying, well, one D&D, it's probably going to be called like D&D Forever or something like that in the end. But one D&D, books you bought 10 years ago for 5e, you can still play it without having to make any adjustments because the engine will be the same. It's just that they're gonna tweak, and that's fine. That's to be expected. I think that one D&D will be closer system-wise to 5e than 3.5 was to 3e.
Or definitely Pathfinder 2 was to Pathfinder 1.
Oh my God!
They learned their lesson from that, didn't they? They definitely learned what happened to Pathfinder, who went from the best-selling game ever, even better selling than D&D, to an afterthought at this point because they just really screwed the pooch on it.
Now, Dandelion Games, 4E sort of catered to the video game crowd and their aesthetics, and that left an opening. So, but now here, I'm gonna say something, and if somebody, because remember we have the OGL, if somebody would clone the 5e core books as they were when they released, go to the original SRD and put out, I don't know what you would call it. We call it fifth forever. All right. You would then keep a version of D&D that wouldn't need to be constantly updated, because the whole reason why they want to go digital is to give these rewrites, these stealth upgrades. Now it's like, oh, we got to do a new printing of the last Ravenloft release to take out the we can't have a gypsy-like race in there. We got to take that out. Now, if you're looking at digital books, we just change the digital. Maybe when you log into D&D Beyond, they'll say, please note that your latest version, you have been updated to the latest versions of ABCXYD. And now, if you don't have the physical, now a lot of people are not going to have physical copies. They're just going to have the digital. You really screw them.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting because I think there's a lot of things a lot of complications that we're seeing, but not really. It's like when 4E was going to come out. It looked like 4E might have been a home run, except when we started getting details of 4E and everything just started collapsing in it. And then everybody realized they played 4E for a month and realized that they hated it. Right. I don't think that's going to happen. But there's one thing I worry about or I think about with 5E, and I don't know the answer to this at all. I'm just purely speculating. I wonder what product loyalty is like for 5E. And the reason I say this is because product loyalty for the first 20 years of D&D is strong. That's why you still get people that like me that are 60 years old that are still playing, AD&D 2.0
right.
or 1.0, and you still have whole conventions where you go there and everybody there is, in their 50s or 60s or older, and they're all playing D&D because the product loyalty is so strong. Now, this is absolutely anecdotal. I will admit that. I don't see that kind of a strong product identity for 5E. But to be fair, I don't see that kind of product loyalty to a lot of things that have come out in the last 10 years. It's because millennials and the new kids coming out, they're not that loyal to any one product. They're used to growing up in this world where everything changes all the time. So they don't have that kind of product loyalty, to phones, to
that's
video
why
games.
they're not going to change it anymore, Mike. Think about that too. One D&D, it's not being changed. You don't lose that. All your old stuff is going to still work with your new stuff. That is kind of like self-correcting that we're going to build loyalty by not fucking our players over. You don't need to get the new books. Heck,
right.
You can just subscribe to D&D Beyond and you'll get the core books as part of your subscription in digital format and whatever. So it's more than just a way for them to keep D&D in print. It's a way for them. I believe that they see this is the way we can capture a much larger part of the market, and I believe that they're hoping that this will be like this integrated product is going to be the funnel below the Pathfinder, not the smaller games,
right?
But they're because now people are complaining that parts of 5e are, oh, it looks like I'm playing Pathfinder. They're looking to take the best of Pathfinder,
right,
put that back into 5e, still remain compatible to the original 5e, and do away with Paizo. I mean, maybe again, no inside information, folks. I don't have Mike Merles or Jeremy Crawford on speed dial. Hey, Jeremy, is it really true? I don't know. But these are signs. Mike and I have been gaming in a hobby since, in my case, since early 1E.
Yeah. 78, yeah.
And we have more knowledge now as a community than we ever did about changes and additions before. We didn't know why 2E was coming up until we found out later. Oh, 2E was to get Gary's name off the damn fucking book and stop paying him royalties. So, no, the backward compatibility is not to 4E. It's going to be backward compatible to 5E. Now, 5E, when it was D&D Next in its early stages, it was promised to be the ultimate cross edition D&D, and you could bring your 0E, 1E, 2E, 3E, 3.5, 4E, and 5E characters, sit them all at the same table, and they'd all have the same amount of fun. Obviously, that never happened. But that was the initial promise. I called out that promise way early on because they were biting off way more than they could chew. I think with what's going on with 1D&D, I think the integrated sales, they're going to find are very profitable. And they're going to, once they get the logistics, and that's probably in Kurt's hands at some point, once they get the logistics down, that's going to be huge. The backwards compatibility to 5e is going to be huge. I think this is all, whether this is big or tremendous is going to depend on the VTT. And personally, I think that if they want that VTT to get true acceptance in the community and get people to buy in, they don't necessarily need to support 5e or 1D&D. They need to find a way to support all prior editions. Say, I want to log in. I want to play basic, not a clone. I want to play basic.
Right.
I want to play 2E, and allow the engine to run that, because then you take so many players who are like, well, yeah, I play on, I play my Swords and Wizardry on Roll20. Well, you can play basic D&D on the 5e engine, on the Unreal 5th edition engine. Look at, you know that one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. It's kind of like this, for good or bad. I don't know.
I am very interested in seeing the rollout and how this happens, because I love stuff like this, because I think it's so interesting when companies deal with things and that none of us see what could happen. Like none of us are looking ahead enough to know what could go wrong, what could go right. I always think it's really interesting just to see these things develop as they develop, and then this looks great. Then all of a sudden it turns out they have programming issues and nothing. The worst thing you do with VTT or not VTT with one D&D is to get everybody online, then nothing works. That's can you imagine the reviews of that? The reviews on Kotaku and all that stuff. Oh, D&D, the one D&D is one big piece of poop, or whatever, because everything's got to work perfectly. I mean, this is just going to get absolutely hammered. So this is interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how this happens and how this comes about. I think I'm like you. I think they're worth enough money now that they're going to spend the money to make this work. They're really, really stupid if they don't.
They're not going to half-ass it. 4E was half-assed. 4E, they lacked commitment. They lacked the commitment to the VTT. 4E was a sloppy system release, and the GSL didn't help anything.
Yeah.
When you basically tell all your third-party publishers, go fuck yourself.
Well, the difference between 4E and in reality was such a huge. It was so big. I went to my Gen Con in 2007. Whatever Gen Con they released 4E, I think was it 7? I think it was 7 or 8, and nobody was happy and excited about it there because of it. Just seemed like it was really half-assed. Like nothing worked yet. Like the online aspect of it didn't work yet. Nobody was really sure what the game was, and they played. Like I said, I knew some very loyal people, that the kind of people that play every game when it came out. They played 4E for a month and they couldn't stand it. They said it's trying to make a video. It's trying to make World of Warcraft into that was the big complaint, is that they're trying to make D&D into a video game. And so it absolutely suffered by word of mouth, and the fact that it was trying to do something completely different. And I've said this for a long time, and people have too. If they hadn't called it D&D 4E and called it Miniature Warfare or something, I think it would have been great. And then just kept 3E just keep 3E going. There's no Pathfinder then, so Pathfinder doesn't steal your audience and become huge. And you still have all the miniatures, and you do miniature combats. This is a miniature combat game.
But Mike, here's the thing. 4E was built with the idea that there would be an accompanying VTT, and that they were going to feed each other. And the VTT was going to have 3D minis, kind of like the 5e one, but it's going to have 3D minis, and it was going to have microtransactions to buy the minis. And oh my God, I am a VTT fan. Back in my early blogging days, I followed all the VTTs. I was actually a forum mod on a few of obscure ones because I wanted to see this thing succeed. And the reality is that Wizards of the Coast didn't put the time, money, or people into getting a viable VTT running. And they weren't going to spend the money on buying any of the quasi-viable ones that were out there at the time. And that's why it failed. I mean, they've been looking at doing a VTT for a while. We've seen, the pandemic has shown, Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds have been doing amazing business. These are big companies now because the pandemic had people playing from home. And Wizards of the Coast doesn't want, just like with Beyond D&D, when they bought them out, and we knew the buyout was coming up when the president of the company left the company to form another company with some sports people. I don't even know what happened to that. I had to do a little research on that because that was a player matching program that I don't think really went anywhere. But he left.
Go ahead.
He saw the sun. He knew they were going to get bought out. So he said, let me leave before this happens. I'll leave on my terms. And then they get bought out. And the buyout was to set up this whole integrated process of, we are going to control your digital content. We are going to control your virtual tabletop content. And we're going to control your Dead Tree content. And we're going to merge it all into one. And you're going to subscribe. So.
Well, here's what's interesting. Look at this. Let's say that this works, and they are immediately, oh my gosh, they're making so much money, subscribers. What if Chaosium wants to do that then? And they go, you know what? This is kind of a cool idea. Or I don't know. There's really nobody else big enough in the industry except maybe Goodman Games that would be like enough to, really just move the needle on this. But what if other companies decide that, it's not going to be a bad idea? Now, would they have money enough to do it? Because this is an expensive endeavor to set something like that up.
But if you do it, what do you do to the industry? Like right now, it's an industry of all these overlapping circles, right? It's like all these Venn diagrams, but you can play 5e and still be an OSE player, and you can play OSE and still be a CNC player. And I play all my games on Roll20, you could all these Venn diagrams overlap. And once D&D 1 comes up, it's a silo. It's no longer an overlapping circle. They're siloing off. There's going to be some spillover, but they got a silo. And then if Goodman Games did a silo, and then Chaosium did a silo, and then I don't know who's really left that's big enough to do a silo, then all of a sudden it isn't what it was. And now here's something else that we haven't even touched on. You're a third-party publisher for 5e. You publish under the OGL. Maybe after one D&D, maybe half the player base for 5th edition players are now, even if they're not just online, they're all playing with D&D Beyond and tablets at your table. Maybe your tablet even allows them to run the VTT individually in front. You're all sitting at the table with this virtual tabletop in front of you because, trust me, I'm sure it's been thought about.
Right.
Now you're a third-party publisher. Do you have to have the VTT content ready to go with your stuff? And you're not. It's not just lowering their costs. It's their way to get a larger share of the 5e marketplace by shutting out others. And I don't even think that's even been talked about in other places, but I can see that happening.
Right. Sure. I know from doing stuff with Frog God. I mean, that's something that everybody's talking about, and all the third-party publishers have to talk about that. That's what I'm saying, though, is I think what you do is you look at it not as something terrible, but as an opportunity. And this is something you have an opportunity to say, okay,
you got to be moving quick on your feet if you're a publisher. Right. You got to see your opportunity and strike before you know if you're making a good move or not. You're going to have to rely on instinct, because he who hesitates is going to be lost in this one. Sean, thank you. And Demi-Plane, which I was following for a bit until everybody who was trying to recruit on Demi-Plane was trying to recruit to make money as a DM. He found a Demi-Plane which is doing D&D Beyond for other game systems like Pathfinder, World of Darkness games, and Free League games. I mean, I don't know if it's going to stem the tide. Again, Wizards of the Coast has a great history of stepping on their private parts. They could certainly fuck this up. Don't think I don't see it as a possibility. I just don't think it's a probability. I think that this is likely focused. Climbing that mountain, you're right, Eric. We talk about it in the tavern every day. This is an attempt to disrupt the RPG industry. It's a takedown. Now, it's not so much a takedown, but it's all these chips are on the fucking table, and guess what? I want what's mine, and I want what's yours, and what's going to be left, some people can profit off of.
Look, running a business is all about making money. It's about making the most money. It's about saying, like, we want our stockholders to make the most, make more money than. It's not about being fair. Even about we don't have to be fair to. Matter of fact, WotC wouldn't care if tomorrow every third-party company went out of business. They don't care. That's not anything they're worried about. Third-party companies. I think that'd be horrible for the hobby as a whole, because
I think they'd be care because it would probably hurt their business as they are now. But would it hurt them? They'll be more insulated from that once they start their magical their magical triangle of print, digital, VTT all together. Look at me, it's like once they get secured, it's going to be rough.
The great thing about gaming, though, is there's always somebody that wants to do something different, or something that's not doing it. I mean, my group, the group I play with, we're ages 60, 59, 59, 55, 56, and 45, 40. We don't do anything online. It's not going to change one bit how we play, and we'll play as long as we can play and get other people to play with us. Right. But you see the demographic, how old the demographic is there I'm talking about.
Yep.
So it's not going to, it won't affect. I mean, look, I'll die before it'll affect me, right? I mean, by the time I'm 70 or whatever, not playing anymore, or however old I'll be, 80, it won't matter anymore. It's not going to be my generation.
Give me that GTT, Sonny.
Fuck that. We're just going to play paper stuff. And Big Ed can't get his tablet to work because his tablet was made 10 years ago.
But Mike, you know what? You're right. But they're not looking at necessarily now. They're looking at the grognards are gonna die off.
Right.
And they're looking at, we're going to recruit the new players are going to be very hip to the VTT, the digital. Oh, I don't know what the new MMO phase is. It might still be Warcraft. Yeah. I got my teeth wet on Warcraft, and now I'm playing D&D. Here's the way a lot of these people are coming into the hobby. I'm not saying it's bad.
Here's what I was talking about, though, about product loyalty, is that these are the same people. Like, okay, so I have an Xbox because I didn't really have an Xbox until my grandson got one. I wanted to play games with him, and so when he was about 12 or 13, we both got Xboxes. It was great. We had fun, play together. We play totally differently. I have like 3 or 4 games I play. I play Fallout. I play Madden. I play Skyrim. Whatever. He has 60 games he plays. And he'll get bored within a week. Like he'll play Fortnite for a couple days, and he goes to Halo, then he goes this, and he laughs at me. I goes there, you're still playing Fallout 76? Yeah. Well, you're level 400 now. What are you doing? I'm like, well, because I wanted to finish all these quests. It's that kids don't play like old people anymore. No. They zip around. As great a game as Skyrim is, Skyrim's 10 years old, and I don't know if a lot of people nowadays play like, hey, I want to play this one game for months and months and months and months and months till I get good at it. They just don't do that. And so I'm wondering if the product loyalty here is they think it's cool, and like you said, maybe their whole idea is just to get these subscriptions, and they don't care if you're loyal to the product or not. As long as you're paying that $10 or $15 a month and it keeps coming out of your credit card, they're fine. Right. I just see people doing this once or twice, or maybe even for a little bit, thinking it's cool, and then they just leave. They go to something else because it's just like every other video game. It's just like any other video game.
Yeah, but they're not. The thing is, Mike, it isn't. It isn't. With 5e players, listen, even if you only keep 10, 15% of the new players as they come through, there's new players coming through constantly. They don't care about the churn. They care about the profit, and the profit's going to be there. And you have to remember, too, it's free money. Once it's set up, once it is done, it pays for itself. It's evergreen.
Because it's like Netflix or somebody else. Once you have a subscription, people forget to cancel the subscriptions, like anything.
Yeah.
We talk about that.
Here, I'll be the jackass. I'll admit it. I have a DirecTV digital subscription, and I did not realize. So I use this stuff in the Poconos. I did not realize until I logged into my AT&T account, and I'm looking at my and I'm going, oh, well, I got to drop DirecTV. I got to get something like Sling TV or YouTube right. TV. It's like half the price what I'm paying for. And then I log out of that, and then I get a bing on my phone, and it's a PayPal receipt for DirecTV. Apparently, I had 2 fucking accounts. I don't know how long I had 2 accounts for it. So
I just told you my story. I did the same thing with Xbox Live. I had all these stupid accounts. I'm like, I need to start checking my damn credit cards closer. I got all this. Who knows what else I'm paying double for? And that's why my wife and I have never got DirecTV, because we're like, we only watch. Look, we have Netflix, we have Prime Video. That's all we need. We have more shows we could ever watch in a million years just from those 2. And so we have friends that are paying $200 a month for cable and this, that, and we're paying like $50. I don't know. Whatever Prime and Netflix cost, because that's all we do. But you continually get offers like, oh man, don't you want DirecTV? But if you look at these offers, it's always free the first year, and then they sneak it in on your thing, and then you wake up one day. Look, my wife used to do this thing where she's a great money manager. if somebody was having problems at her work or one of her personal friends, they could hire her to basically look at all their bills and tell them where they were losing money.
Right.
99 times out of 100 is because she would look at their thing and say, do you know that you're paying $350 a month for cable? What? Yes. You have HBO, Paramount, this. I mean, go on. I don't even watch TV that much. Right. Because what you did was you signed up for all these free offers, and then once it rolled over, it went on there. And I mean, that's a true story. People really did do stuff like that. I'm paying that much because it was just coming directly out of their credit cards. They weren't noticing it. So I don't know what the sweet spot is for WotC. I wonder what they think they can get out of people. Like, what's a regular subscription going to cost? And then how much your microtransactions going to be if you want to add Druid Spell Swarm of Sticks or something. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what this price, because they could screw it up that way. If they charge too much for this, and people are like, whoa, I want to run a Druid, but I'm not paying an extra $50 a month to run a Druid.
Well, and that's the whole thing too. It's like you got to pay. And listen, going back to the AT&T, I've had an AT&T account now for well over 10 years for my cell phone. I got a city discount, but I've got so many phones on it because it's me, Rach, my mother, my father.
And you get a discount the more phones you have.
Well,
right?
yeah. My son's fiance, we got 2 digital plans for our 2 iPads. And I had like a 55 gigabyte data plan across all devices, and it got blown. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to blame. The youngest person in this list. And I was like, shit. So I was like, all right, listen, just so you know, the data plan's blown. I'm paying like an extra $15 per gig. So you could just do me a favor and like stop fucking streaming your music at work. And but then I looked at my account. I looked at my account like over a year, really looked at it. And I went, there's an offer for unlimited per line. It can't save me money. You know what? I went through all the lines, and at the end of the day, unlimited for all my lines, including hotspots on 3 of the phones that are 50 gigabytes on each as a hotspot, cost me $2 more per month than I was already paying. I was like, how does that? And I went to auto billing, and I saved like another $30.
We were with AT&T for like 20 years. We go back and forth. And we're like, we really need to switch because you don't get good deals if you stay with a company. You only get good deals when you switch. And so I finally just said, I'm tired. We're paying too much. We're paying like almost $200 a month for all our phones, devices, and like you said, like we got all these people hooked up. And I walked into a physical office one day and said, look, here's the deal. I need to walk out paying less money. They looked at all my stuff. I walked out paying, I saved $100 a month because I was so stupid that I wasn't taking advantage of all these new plans. Oh, you can get unlimited thing. And if you have more than 2 lines, you get this. I'm like, what the hell was I doing? I was spending an extra $100 a month for years. Yeah. And so that is the kind of mindset that WotC's going to count on.
Yeah,
because they're not going to look at their bill 3 years after they stop playing D&D and say, what's this $35 a month I keep the Hasbro? Holy shit, this is my D&D Beyond account that I don't even play with anymore. And I've been paying for it for 5 years. Oh, my God. I mean, that's what they're counting on. And it's a great business model. It is an absolutely successful business model for these people. So it's not stupid they're doing this. It's money, right? It's making more money.
Yeah. See, folks, you got to see us get worked up.
And we didn't even still cover everything because this is just barely starting to come out with stuff. I think this is good. Like I said, this is going to be a huge story in the next year, and I just think I'm just very interested. Like I said, it doesn't impact me or my gaming, and I'm going to be long gone. Look, you kids are going to have to, you younger people are going to have to handle it after I'm gone if you want to play face to face paper gaming. But it's not going to bother me at all. I'll play paper. It's going to be. But it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, and Don makes a good point. The pricing structure is going to be interesting. Wizards of the Coast knows that people tend to forget.
That's all these companies do. Netflix had they lost a shitload of money this summer. I don't know if you saw the because it was like, so what happened was during COVID, everybody was Netflixing. There's nothing to do, right? You're having to stay at home all day. You're locked up in your house. Apparently, they had a post-COVID people looking at their bills going, oh, I'm not at home anymore. I'm actually working at my job now. And so they had this huge drop off in this year because people are going back to work and not sitting at home playing COVID or not sitting at home with COVID, playing Netflix all day.
COVID.
But I don't know the exact numbers, but they lost a lot of money this summer because people finally looked at what they were doing and like, do I really need to get a disc? And and at this point, Netflix is like, it's not cheap anymore. It's like $26, $27 a month. I mean, it's not cheap enough to where you get it, but not cheap enough to where you're like, oh, that's not.
You have people that do the rotation. They do a
streaming
service of the month.
They watch a show. I had friends that with CBS when they first got. They get Star Trek. What they'll do is they'll save up, and then 1 month they'll get the free month, and they'll watch all the Star Trek shows, and then they cancel it the next month. It's okay. I don't need to see more. I want to catch up on Star Trek. So.
And now I'll use a new email and a new account a year from now.
Yep. All right. Well, Ben Burns for those who came in late, had to leave early to walkie the doggies, but he's got a Kickstarter up right now, Zeta Complex. It's a takeoff of Paranoia. It looks really awesome.
Links on the screen below me.
Links below you. I just signed up for the book because I want it. I want to read it. I'm not a big Paranoia player, but I do like to support stuff like this. It's Ben's a great writer, very talented. So this will be cool. Next week we got the Barshes, right?
Yes.
We got the Barshes and their new project. I mean, this is like. It's like every week a new kick-ass project's popping up. This is crazy. Well, we don't get a chance to talk current events anymore. We got so many projects popping up.
But the Barshes, we can talk current events.
Yeah, we could do one day a day. We'll see what Ben's a youngster. He's young, and he has great. He's young. He's got hair. He's we'll see what his take on this. I bet he has a pretty good take on it because he's a smart kid. And I didn't say. Don't tell him I said that. I didn't say that, but he's a smart kid.
If Mike is really revved up, maybe we'll invite him on to Friday's Random Generator Party. They can guarantee.
Well, I want to see what those guys are. Oh, you need to bring up one D&D and watch those guys go at it.
It's been part of our tech streams during the week.
Oh boy. Well, I'm turning in Friday then. I gotta hear this Friday because I want to hear Matt and Rob and all those guys get all Joe the lawyer. Oh, I bet they're gonna get all fired up about this.
Well, folks, huge thank you to Ben. He was a great guest. He's always a fun guy to talk to. Huge thank you to you all. We hit 1,550 subscribers tonight. So we're knocking down the goals, folks.
I have to make plans for 2,000 subscribers. What are we going to do then? We may have to make those plans.
Maybe we'll do it Maybe we'll do it shirtless.
Oh yes, please say yes to this. This would be awesome.
But you have to do it in Dallas Cowboy makeup. I have to do it in Jeff makeup.
I could do that. We can do that.
Yeah, the grease makeup.
We'll get no touching, so no monkeypox, so we're okay.
Yeah, no, we're going to be separated by
we're separated. Let's see, there's a wall here. We can't pass that wall.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's exciting. It's good to see, folks. If you do want to support this channel monetarily, you can hit the join button below. It's $1.99 a month. I'm trying to get my
all this money goes right back. Eric already has an obscene pension with
it's obscene.
It's obscene. He doesn't need the money. I don't need the money. As you can tell, I'm independently wealthy by my surroundings here, so I don't need it. So yeah, this money all goes back to you guys. It goes for prizes.
It goes back to like a higher quality stuff. Like I don't know if you can see it.
Like my headphones. Eric bought me a new set of kick-ass headphones.
Oh wow! It won't show my lighting behind me. Oh no! I got some really nice lighting behind.
I'm tripping.
So people don't go like my head disappears. There's a big chunk of my head off anymore. And I actually shaved for the show, but I've been told I look nice with a partial beard going. So I'm trying to do some so I keep my audience very excited.
Yeah, because you want all the young ladies. Because I look at our demographic. It's full of young ladies that want to see two old guys talk about gaming stuff. So yeah,
yes. Kim, Tammy, Rach, we thank you. Those are probably our
the 3 women that watch our show, and my wife. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. There's the 4.
Yeah, my wife watches too. So there we go. That's it. That's it. We got that's our demographic, our female demographic. Nice.
Folks, we are still in the endemic. We're beyond the pandemic. We're in the endemic. Here's your common sense. If you can't figure it out by now, you're probably not with us. Other than that, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. On the Discord tomorrow, we do our weekly hangout.
It's been a lot of people lately. It was dead for quite a while, but we have been cooking on the Discord lately. So definitely show up. We had a long talk last week. We talked. Yeah. You bowed out. We were there till 11:30.
Yeah.
Laramie and I and a couple of the people were there till almost midnight. It was crazy. So
it was awesome. It was a really good, respectful conversation. People have different opinions, but nobody becomes an asshole.
No.
That's the awesome part. Yes. Mike and I can be assholes to each other. That's because we're spouses.
That's part of it.
It's part of it. Be safe, be well, God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well, and I'll be back with some random shite tomorrow.
And Friday, the party.
Friday, random generate party.
8
p.m.
Awesome
Eastern.
Show.
Gamers Health, 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And graph paper architect Michael Hovermill will be a special guest. If not this week, then another Saturday.
Oh, and let me add one thing to next week's show with the Barshes. Zach will be in town. We may have to have Zach.
We may
be down for ReaperCon, so we may have Zach have to pop on and say hi.
Oh my God!
So we may have the Barshes and Zach.
I'm going to do the Home Alone face.
And then the next week the week after that I'll be in Arizona. We'll probably have Zach on again because I'll be hanging out at Zach's place. So this may be a Zach intensive next 2 weeks for those that love Zach.
Forgive us. We know exactly what we're doing.
Yes.
That's why I asked for
later, folks. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Night.